You're listening to the Actors Resource Podcast with Aaliyah Lay, a podcast for actors and improvisers with interviews from entertainment industry experts.
All right, our guest today is Jake Diamond. Jake is an award-winning editor with over 20 years of experience in film and television. From feature films and documentaries to TV shows such as 90 Day Fiancé and the Colbert Report, his projects have run the full gamut. He also is now starting a new career as a filmmaker. He had made a few short films, but recently created a dark comedic web series / pilot called Doin Great that he is working on turning into a TV series. Thank you so much for being here, Jake. Welcome.
Oh, it's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Your success journey as an editor and now a new success journey that you're brand new starting into being filmmaking. My first question to you is, how did you even get started in the industry? That's a big question.
To make this as short as possible, it started back in college. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I flittered from major to major. I dropped out for a bit. Eventually I had to declare a major, which was, I thought at the time I wanted to be a therapist. So it was psychology. I quickly learned, didn't care about most of my psychology classes and took a film class. And that kind of started it from there. I'd seen films I'd never seen before. And I met people whose actual major was film and film production. And that kind of blew my mind because you can have that as a career, huh? I didn't, that was not part of my, fabric at all. So that was kind of mind blowing. And from there, where I went to school at UMass Amherst, there was a Union Video Center. I took some classes there and learned how to use a camera and edit rudimentary fashion. And then volunteered at the local public access station in town. And
where were you? Which?
Amherst, Massachusetts, University of Massachusetts.
Great.
And, I was basically on a technical route. I was just happy to have a job, honestly, because when you get a degree in psychology, there's not much you can do when you graduate. So I volunteered more at the public access station, and eventually they hired me there.
Nice. And as an editor, or for what?
More to teach workshops, teach people how to use the equipment, and just sort of generally, it was a part-time position, just help run the place.
Yeah.
But I think even back then, when I was in my early 20s, I was like, I want to be a writer-director. And, that's the goal. But I was so terrifying and it was so far away that there was so many negative voices in my head that said, that's not you. Those are for people who are talented and know what they're doing. And, all those sorts of, things that go on in your head that are very detrimental and not helpful. Those were the ones I was hearing the most. So I stayed on a technical route and I became a tape op. I moved to New York. I eventually became an assistant editor. And through many years of that, I eventually became an editor, which was great. I actually had a job where I could afford to live in New York City. So no small.
Amazing. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I felt that, but that wasn't until my early 30s or so. But which I thought, oh, this is great. But then I started working on projects, or the one that, I kind of, were sort of went from one to the next. Mm-hmm. It wasn't, I thought, this isn't why I went into this field. I'm working endless hours on things that I don't really care about.
When did that realization start to occur to you? Did you have that niggling realization in the back of your head from the beginning, or did it start to occur later after you've been working on project after project?
It really started to sort of seep in the more I was working on it, just endless amount of hours and very intense.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, I'm like, is this fun? People, you tell people, I told people back then, oh, I'm an editor. And they're like, oh, that's so glamorous. And it's like, no, not really. When you're sitting in a 10 by 10 windowless room with someone for 12 hours a day. So at that point I thought, well, I'm going to switch gears and I'm going to work on narrative films and I'm going to work on documentaries. That's going to be closer to what I want. That'll be more fulfilling.
So still editing, but more on narrative films.
Yeah.
And documentaries.
And that didn't do it for me either. That was even more work for less money. And And now I'm, approaching 40 and I'm like, what am I doing? So I finally at that point started, writing a little more, and I
Yeah.
got the courage. I made a couple of short films, but it was such a,
Yeah.
I like tiptoed in. The two short films I made didn't have any dialogue. And then I, started writing a feature, and it was the first
Okay, so
one. Yeah.
real quick, like what in terms of time frame, like
Yes.
how long were you editing for? And then when did you make that transition into narrative slash documentary? And then how long did it take you to go, still not doing it? I'm gonna write short
Probably
films.
about, it was probably about 4 or 5 years I was editing before I switched to narratives, trying to
Okay.
edit them. And then it was probably 2 or 3 more years after that.
Before you realized I'm gonna try writing my own stuff.
Yeah, the realization came to, wait, it doesn't matter what I'm working on. It doesn't matter if it's my favorite TV show or movie out there. This isn't going to, at the end of the day, be fulfilling. I'm still working on someone else's stuff. What I really want is to do my own thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So about 5 years ago, I had a script that I finally kind of liked, and took a workshop on directing actors because I realized there was so many things I didn't know how to do, and this was one of them. I didn't know anything about actors or act any.
Right.
So I took this workshop, and there was an actress who was helping with the scenes there. And the moment I saw her perform, just even in the small classroom, I was mesmerized. And I thought,
Yes.
I don't know who that is. I have to work with her somehow. Something just immediately shifted in me. And I didn't realize this, but part of the workshop, I had to act as well. And that actually went over well.
Uh-huh.
And that was kind of mind blowing. So the combination of all week, I connected with this actress afterwards, and she said, "Are you writing a TV series? You should do that." This was about 5 years ago.
Okay.
And I said, "No, I've never thought about writing a TV series." But that night, the idea for one just poured out of me. It was the easiest thing I ever wrote. So something just sort of finally clicked years later. And so that's the kind of the transition to where I'm in now. I made
Is
it
that
into,
is
yeah,
that the TV series we're talking about right now, the dark
yeah,
comedy one, Doing Great? Is that
yeah.
uh-huh.
I thought about, I'm going to make it into a web series, and it's a dark comedy. And I thought about High Maintenance or Broad City or however many other things that had a lot of online views and then got turned into TV series. That
Yeah.
was the idea I had. I'm like, this is a great idea, of course this will happen. And it failed spectacularly.
What?
However,
Why?
I don't really know. I don't know if, like, the time I put it out, this is me sounding like a total jerk, like the online platforms, everything's oversaturated at this point, and there's too many
Mhm.
places to watch things.
Yeah.
The episodes were a little bit longer than people were watching. They were like 6 to 8 minutes as opposed to, just a few or one.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what I wanted. This was the story.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, this story's good, people will watch, but it didn't work out for whatever reason.
Who knows why? But
Yeah,
that doesn't mean anything.
right.
Yeah.
So what I thought, the original goal anyway was to make it into a TV series. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm at now. I've rewritten the pilot. I've sketched out 2 or 3 seasons, and I
Nice.
got a pitch deck, and I'm ready pretty much ready with my writing partner to kind of start putting it out there.
Oh, that is so awesome. Okay. So this is so great, Jake. And just you sharing your journey of pain for 10 years. Why do I laugh? Because apparently I have a bit of a sadistic side. No, I laugh because it is painful. I guess that's why I'm laughing. It's because it's painful, right?
No, that's where a lot of comedy comes from. Yep, for sure.
Yeah. But I appreciate you sharing this because acknowledging you that you faced what you really wanted and you made a decision to go for it, right? I mean, that is a success right there. And you're making progress. You're working towards your goal of
Yeah.
creating it into a TV series.
Yeah, I think for many years, tell me, just stop me if this isn't relevant, but I, there was two things that were stopping me. One was fear, fear of embarrassment. What I'm writing isn't that good. And, people that are younger than me have already made things that are just masterpieces. So how am I even going to get to that place? So
Yeah.
I was stopping myself before I started.
Yeah.
And because, if what I didn't write or come up with wasn't brilliant from the start, then, I just felt it was a failure. And that was kind of an excuse to kind of keep me behind the scenes. And also the other thing was just how much work it takes to, you know, to create anything and to be good at something. And that was all new to me as well. And I kind of, when I was younger, I very much bristled up against that. And still, you know, and but, you know, then I forget who said it. This, I'm going to sound like an internet meme here, but, you know, whatever job you're going to be doing, I realized you're going to have to work really hard at. So it might be as well something that you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate you sharing the vulnerability of the fear and all those like really negative thoughts that stopped you, right?
For sure.
Do you want to share how you got over those thoughts or how you got over the fear to take action?
It took a long time. It was, what was it? It was a lot of years of, you know, if I had kind of worked through it, maybe, you know, I'd be sitting here 10 years earlier telling this story, but it was, what was it? It was a lot of years of feeling that how did I work through it? It was a lot of years of feeling life was unfair. It was a lot of years of like, I'm working really hard and this should be easier. But finally, I think it was a gradual process. Maybe, you know, therapy was part of it for sure. But I think a lot of it was going, well, this is what I want to do. And the only way to do it is to actually do the work. And I can, you know, the realization came to, sorry, this is the short answer is the real
long answer, short answer, just give it to us.
The realization came that how I've been doing things for so many years, this is where I'm at and it hasn't gotten me anywhere. So I might as well try something different. So I started writing more all the time. I started focusing on like, wow, this is what I want to do. And just kind of pushed forward and started taking more classes. And the more, even just doing like one little thing towards it, just opened me up tremendously. And sort of gave me more confidence to keep going.
I love that so much.
It was also a lot of, you know, I had to kind of, there was not just negative forces in my head, but there was negative forces all around me that I kind of had to slowly move away from. You know, just when you start telling people that you want to do something else, they're, you know, what, you do that? I didn't know you did that. You know, you just do this one specific thing. You know how to edit. You don't know how to write. You don't know how to direct. You don't know how to do that. What are you talking about? Don't think you know what you're talking about. So it was a lot of, I mean, I'm voicing what I imagined I heard. So it was a lot of just kind of pushing forward and going, well, actually, you know, I'm getting older and what do I really want to do? And, you know, I'm going to take my shot now. Yeah. So that was mostly it.
Yeah. You had the internal obstacles, which you moved forward, right? The fear and the negative thoughts, but then you also had the external well-meaning obstacles from your peers and friends or family or just in your sphere that in your head, I mean, not specifically, but where people were like, what are you doing?
Sure.
How did you get through that obstacle too? Like with all those people saying this thing, saying to you, oh, you're an editor. What are you doing? You're not a writer. You're not a director. You've never done that. How did you get through that noise?
I think a lot of it was the realization of there's a lot of things I don't know how to do and I need to learn. And I kind of finally accepted like I need help. And so that's when I started reaching out to people that do know how to do things. That's to like take that workshop on directing actors. Like, oh, if I get these skills, then I'm going to feel more confident and not, you know, just sort of wander around going, I want to do this, but I don't know how, and then just shutting it down without even thinking about it.
Right.
So it was seeking out people to help. Like, for instance, for this web series, I knew I was too old to do it in a fashion of, you know, not wanting to pay people and, you know, just do it very cheaply. I wanted to hire professionals and I wanted to look a certain way. So I knew I had to raise a lot of money and I had no idea how to do that. So I reached out and found someone who knew how to like raise a lot of money for Kickstarters.
Yeah, you
And
can name drop. It's all good. Yeah.
yeah,
If you want to, you don't have to.
Justin Giddings, who
Yeah.
helped me tremendously and gave me a roadmap to do it. There was no way I could have done it without doing that. So it was finally like it came to an inner acceptance of like, it's okay not to know things
Nice.
was kind of the changing part.
Right.
And being okay with that. And then that learning from other people is actually helpful. And that's how things work. And that's how we all grow.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of that. And
Nice.
So I took acting classes, I took writing classes, I took whatever I could around working to try to, do the web series and write it and direct it the best possible way. And, I'm still kind of doing that. It's like, I have a long way to go as I sort of start a new career now.
Yeah. Oh, I think that is so great. And I love that you're showing that you're investing in yourself and investing in your dream, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not that it always has to cost money, but the fact that you're getting the mentorship and you're getting the learning so you can move forward is very inspiring,
Yeah. And that was probably the biggest hurdle of like, oh, I don't have to do this all myself. If I surround myself with people who know what they're doing, then they're going to help me out. And it was also like a letting go of like being okay with saying, I don't know how to do this. Can you help me?
Yeah.
Which I think, it holds a lot of people back because it's like some sort of weakness if you admit that.
Right. I think it's yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it. Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to agree. I think there's a general, I don't know what it is in America, this maybe it's from the spaghetti westerns where it's like, I can pull myself up by my bootstraps. I don't need anybody. I just can do it all myself. Right? But I think in reality, everyone has a team in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Whether emotionally, financially, peers, whatever, right? I don't know that anybody does anything completely by themselves.
No, it's virtually impossible, and especially with filmmaking, you need people to bounce ideas off of. You need people that are going to help you in all aspects. I mean, it really is just a huge collaborative effort. Yeah. And there's no way you can do it by yourself, for sure.
Yeah. Well, just real quick, I took a quick look at your web series, Doin Great, and you are so humble. I mean, you've got like how many awards? I mean, like there's like what, 20 different awards for your web series? Well,
thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, still working on that aspect of my personality for sure. But yeah, no, my best thing about it is that I've seen it so many times, obviously, but I still watch it today and I still like it. So
yeah, you've got some really there's some really funny, just bits that I'm not gonna do any spoilers, but I just if anybody's listening and wants to check it out, go check out the web series before it becomes a pilot, and you can say I was there before.
For sure.
Yeah. We have about a few more minutes. I really appreciate your time, Jake. Is there two questions? One, is there anything else that you'd like to share with the audience in terms of something that you've learned that you haven't addressed already, that you think is really important for us to know?
I think anything I'm going to say at this point is probably just going to sound like an internet meme, but I guess cliches are cliches for a reason. Yeah. I think if you can always tell someone like this is what you should be doing, but until they come to that realization themselves, it's probably not going to help much. But if anyone can take anything from this, it's just trust yourself. And if something feels right, then you got to go towards it. And I think, as I said before, I learned the hard way. Whatever job you're going to be doing, you're going to have to work intensely hard at it. So you might as well, give it a shot for what actually makes you happy.
Yeah. And I think Jim Carrey said something similar too.
Yeah.
Similar.
I definitely not the first one to say that. Yes.
Well, I didn't mean it like that. I just meant
No,
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
not what I was inferring. But yeah, right.
Okay, and then the last question is, tell us more about how we can support you. Tell us more about your web series, how we can follow you, all of that.
Yes, the web series is called Doin Great, Doin apostrophe great, and you can check it out at doingreatseries.com, where all the episodes are. You can also find it on YouTube at Doin Great. We're also on whatever platform you like best at Doin Great Series, Instagram and Twitter, and
Nice.
also on Facebook at Doin Great. So we're at all those where you can see clips and behind the scenes, or just go check it out. The website's probably the easiest, where you can see all the episodes and has links to all the different.
Yeah, they're all there. Boop, 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 boop.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, doinggreatseries.com would be, check it out. That would support me the most. That would be if anyone watches it, I would be ecstatic.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jake. I appreciate
Thank you. I really appreciate it. This has been fun.
And thank you for listening to the Actors Resource Podcast with me, Aaliyah Lay.